Okay, so I'm trying out this selfie stick. I feel like it'll be easier to record my videos. Well, at least this particular one. I usually do my videos later in the day. By then the sun has gone down. I'll have my light on in the room, and then I'll just like set it up on my side table and sit there. But I wanted to do my video now, and um, I wanted to use the sunlight. So this was the best way to do that and to hold the camera without my arm being tired and all of that. So you'll have to excuse the way I look. I just woke up not too long ago, and my background and all of that. So that's why everything looks a hot mess, including me. um, so yesterday I did this whole video talking about um, there there's something wrong with me or something going on. Um, and I still feel that way today. And I wanted to come and do a video about it. Let me see if I can adjust this a bit better. Is that good? I think that's good. So, I woke up in a mood today. I don't know if it's because I woke up and it was really hot. It's been like in the hundreds here. Like, I think the other day it was like 120. It's ridiculous hot. Um, but like it's to the point where we have to keep the AC on at night too, because it's like even when the sun goes down, it's still easily like 80 degrees outside. So anyway, that's not what this is about. I don't know if it's because I woke up hot or because when I woke up I realized my husband was already gone for work, um, or what. I don't know what it was, but I woke up irritated. I also think I had some funky dreams, which didn't help. Um, but if we're being honest, I'm gonna just talk about the way I feel, about what happened, um, even if my reasons aren't justified. It's still the way I feel and the way I felt. So yesterday I felt like, I don't want to say this video was helpful, but this video was my friend, doing a video was my friend. So I'm gonna do that again, I guess, and see what happens or if it helps. So um, I got up this morning and I decided I wanted coffee. So when I got up, I went to the kitchen and there was already activity in the kitchen. Well, I say already activity in the kitchen. It was pretty late in the morning, afternoon. There was activity in the kitchen, which I'll admit immediately irritated me. Um, and I feel like that was me being a bee with an itch. There was no reason for me to be irritated, uh, but I was. Um, so I guess they were making like breakfast burritos or something like that. And it was just my son in the kitchen. Um, but I was irritated not because he was in the kitchen cooking. I think I was irritated because he was in the kitchen cooking for himself as well as his girlfriend. And to me, it was just a reminder that we have a visitor. And first, let me say that I have no issue at all with our visitor. I haven't had many conversations with this person. They seem pretty timid, pretty distant. But hey, I get it. I can be a shy person too. I used to be a lot shyer than I am now, so I get it completely. But just from what I've seen, they seem like a very cool person. I have no issue with the person themselves. But I am the kind of person that enjoys privacy. I enjoy having my home to myself, but I also enjoy having visitors, but not for prolonged periods of time. So I found myself irritated by that. And because there was something that I wanted to do in the kitchen, I couldn't do it because that area was occupied. So I unplugged the coffee machine and I brought it to the other side of the kitchen and, started adding the coffee and water and all that. So then I ended up plugging it back in and, I let that go while, the kitchen was being occupied. And I think I was frustrated because I don't know. I think I look at the kitchen as my area too much, mostly because I'm in there most of the time. And usually everything in the fridge I'm aware of, because I have a plan for it for a meal or something like that. It's kind of like, and I'm not comparing this to what my husband does, but he makes the money, he's in charge of the money, he's aware of what comes and goes out of the account, what um, is already accounted for, what's extra. That's his area. So if there is something that needs to be taken care of, or I need money or something like that, I'll go to him because that's his area. And that's kind of how I am with the kitchen. So it's not that I expect everyone to come to me and say, hey, is it okay if I have an egg? For certain things, I feel like it's helpful and appreciated if it's brought to my attention, even if it's just you want something. Like, I am the kind of person, I usually say yes. Like, it's very rare that I say, no, you can't have that, or no, you can't do that. Unless, like, I plan to use that for dinner that night or something like that. And usually very, like, easygoing about that kind of thing. This is really wobbly. But when you don't do that, I feel like it takes away the opportunity for me to say yes or no. And that's what frustrates me. But that has nothing to do with this morning. I found myself frustrated because before I went to bed last night, I've been doing the dishes like 4 times a day now, just because there's a lot more activity. And to be honest, at this point, they're in the kitchen a lot more than I am as far as cooking and such. Um, so I was a bit frustrated because I knew that right after I got up, even though I cleaned the kitchen really good last night, I knew that I was going to have my fair share of a mess to clean up. And I ended up talking to my husband on the phone, and I didn't call him about this at all. We ended up just kind of talking about it, but I found that I got frustrated because it's not that I expect people to do dishes or to do the things that I do, but to me, it's horribly frustrating when um, what I do or what other people do isn't considered. I, in a perfect world for me, you would go in the kitchen, you would cook, do whatever it is you're doing. I'm not asking you to do dishes, but if you are making eggs and you don't immediately like rinse out the pot and all of that, they kind of get stuck on there. It makes my job harder later when I have to go and scrub eggs off. Or if you use the grater and you're grating potatoes or cheese or something like that, if it's not rinsed off immediately, it makes it, a good scrubbing job for me to have later. When all it takes is a couple of seconds just to rinse it off. It's just courteous. It's not even a necessity, but it's just courteous. If you're making eggs or potatoes or something like that, and you make a mess on the counter and you've got egg juice on the ground and, potatoes on the stove, all it takes is to use one of the mini paper towels that I keep in the home and just wiping it up. Um, but I don't get that. And that's frustrating to me. And my husband asked me, he's like, well, would you like to do something about it? Maybe you can talk to him. Maybe I can talk to him. And I said no because it's the kind of thing I don't want to have to ask you to do. And I know I probably sound like, well, why? If that's something you want, you would just inform and it'll get done. But I would always feel as though you were only doing it because I complained about it. But instead, it would be nice to feel like what I do is considered, or appreciated. I'm not looking for a pat on the back. I'm not looking for you to sing my praises or anything like that. But I feel like what I do isn't considered. It's expected, but it's not appreciated. And maybe that's just something that Asia has to get over. Or maybe I'm reaching. I don't know. Last night, my husband and I were talking, or actually it was yesterday morning, we were talking about the visit itself. And I asked him, like, hey, I'm not complaining at all. I really wasn't. Just curious on how long you think the visit's going to be, or, when the visit's going to come to an end. Sorry, let me adjust this. And he said that he wasn't sure. Last he heard was 2 weeks, but that was over a week ago. So he said that he would find out today. That's fine. So I was talking to him today, and I asked him about it, and he said, yeah, he worded it, I wanted him to word it in such a way, because I didn't want it to come off like a complaint, like, oh, get out, because that's not what I'm saying. But there has been a lack of communication there, and that had been bothering me. So first I'll tell you the information he gave me, and then I'll vent about how I feel about it. Does that make sense? So he says that it'll be like another 6 days. And I said, excuse me? I was bothered by that because, all right, let me just back up. A couple of months ago, my husband informed me that Kari went to him and asked if his girlfriend could come. And he said yes. And then he let me know, and I said, all right, that's what we're doing. And while I was waiting, which to me makes sense, like, hey, she'll be here in 2 weeks, or hey, she'll be here in a week. That makes a lot of sense to me. But instead, we received a 2-day notice that she was coming. And I was very frustrated by that, because I felt like it was very last minute. I don't mind last minute things. I don't like last minute things that involve my home, because that means that now I have to prepare for someone being here for 10 days. But, I got the information, wasn't happy about the amount of time I was given to complete such tasks, but hey, whatever. So, yeah, the day came, and she came and everything, and we were told 10 days. Now, I expected it to probably be 10 days, 12 days. It wasn't going to be exactly 10 days, but around that mark. I'm going to wait a second, because I always have this fear that someone's listening by the door, and I don't want to hurt people's feelings. But that's probably all in my head, so I'll continue going. Anyway, so I, a couple of weeks ago, I asked my husband if he had a time frame at all. And he said no, but he ended up finding out. And it was something about, at that point, it had been like 13, 14 days or so. And he was told about 2 weeks. It's like, okay, another, few days, that's fine. But then 2 weeks came and went. And then here we are now, or recently, where a couple of days ago, it was 3 weeks that it had been. And I'm like, okay, well, not even so much that I have a problem with it, but no one's saying anything. So then when he asked today, and he was told basically another week, that brings us to a whopping month. And I found myself very bothered by that for a few different reasons. reasons. The first reason being naturally, I don't care who it is. It could be my baby brother. The idea of someone being at my home for a month, that's a long time. In my eyes, that's a long time. And while I am completely willing, for me personally, that's the kind of thing that I have to mentally and physically prepare for having someone in your home for a month. Um, but the biggest problem I have is the lack of communication. I feel like it is extremely um, inconsiderate of the other people that live in the home. See, I have this idea that my son is, and first, let me say, he's an adult. So it's not like we're dealing with a 15-year-old or anything like that. Like, he is a grown man. And of course, I want him to be able to have visitors. But this is your home too. I'm not upset that the visit is for a month at all, actually. I'm upset that I was not made aware. I believe that for him, it's just, oh, my girlfriend's here and we're in our room and we're playing video games all day and doing whatever else you're doing there. Um, and that's it. So it shouldn't be a problem that she's here for a month. But for everyone else, there are things that need to be done to make sure that we are accommodating. I can't say exactly what it is my husband does, but I know he does things, and I know that there are things that he has had to sacrifice. Maybe not as much as me, or maybe he just doesn't look at it that way. Maybe I am just blowing everything out of proportion. But for me personally, um, where if I would go usually and I would buy like a big thing of toilet paper, let's say like a 12-pack roll, and then I'll get like a 6-pack roll of paper towel, and then like my normal like cleanser and sponges and dish detergent. Usually that probably will last us 2-3 weeks. Like the cleanser, probably about a month. Um, but now I'm noticing that I need to shop for things a lot more often, week and a half. Where a cleanser would usually last me a month, is now lasting me a week. Where the big thing of toilet paper would usually last us about 3 weeks, maybe a month, is now down to maybe 2 weeks. And it's not horrible, but it's the kind of thing that I, it would have been nice to know ahead of time, especially because it's not even that money's bad right now, but we're coming to a time where my husband may have to get unemployment, and this contract is ending soon, and it would just be nice to know what it is we need ahead of time. And I don't mean that like I am worried about money at all, because my husband won't let me be worried about money, nor am I worried about money. But think of it this way: you've got the boss and then you have the secretary. The boss isn't concerned with, how many pencils or pens or folders or copy paper is in the machines, or it's available for the office. The secretary is. And once the secretary realizes, oh, we're running low on highlighters, or we need more staples, or we need more paper clips, she will maybe inform the boss, or she might just order it or whatever. But that's her job to do that. The boss isn't going to worry about the supplies to keep the office going. The boss is worried about boss things. So while the secretary may not worry about having the funds to be able to get the office supplies, the secretary still would like to have a certain routine. For instance, she may know, okay, if we buy a box of 200 paper clips, that'll last us 2 weeks in this office. So I only have to put in an order for that twice a month. But if there's a lot more activity in the office, she might need to do that once a week or maybe even more often. But because she wasn't aware of what may be going on, she either one has to anticipate there being more activity and order a lot more, or be left in a position where she has to order more because she's out because she didn't expect there to be so much activity for so long. Maybe that was a horrible example. In my mind, it makes complete sense, but that's how I feel. When it comes to food, the original conversation we had was, hey, it's a little tight right now, so we can't be as accommodating. Um, and Car said, okay, that's fine. And when she first got here, they went out and they got themselves some stuff. And once I was able to go grocery shopping, I tried my best to get things that were more accommodating. For instance, if I made meals, I would try to make sure there was a veggie option for her. Like spaghetti, I would just make spaghetti on the side without meat. Um, if I think the other night I made beef and broccoli. So I just, instead of, beef and broccoli for everyone on the side, I did just the broccoli and rice, that kind of thing. Um, but now we find ourselves in a position where I won't say I cannot afford that as much. Um, and my husband will always work it out. And I'm not concerned about that, but my husband will, my husband's able to work it out the way he usually does. Not so much work it out the way he usually does, as well as veggie options, if we're being honest. Um, and after we had that conversation, they got their own food. They went back and they got more food later. But then what happens is they'll eat all their food and then they'll go to the regular food in the fridge, which, I don't have a problem with. But this will be a month of this when we were originally told 10 days. So I find that since the 10-day mark, I've been scrambling to make sure that everyone has what they need. And there's been a lot more cleaning and a lot more supplies that are needed and things like that. And it makes my job harder because there's no communication. If I was told a week ago or 2 weeks ago, hey, she's going to be here for a month or for 4 weeks, then I would have been able to better prepare for the visit. I would have got more things when I went out. And that's another thing too. I don't have a car. So everything I do is very particular. If the one time a month I'm able to be in a car and go grocery shopping, I try to get everything I'm going to need, unless it's like something I could easily pick up, because I don't have a car. I don't have the luxury of being able to hop in a car, run to the store if something I need is used, if my pasta's used, just saying. I'm not able to just go and run and get more. So everything that I have in the kitchen, everything that I have in the linen closet, I got to last a certain amount of time. So when things are used or more things are used or more things are required, it is really nice to know that ahead of time so that I don't have to be stressed out about making sure I have it later. I just feel like it's very inconsiderate and it makes me upset because I don't think anyone is considering anything that anyone else has to do. For them, it's just wake up, play video games, do whatever we do, go in the kitchen, make food, go take a shower, and we're done. But for everyone else, where does that food come from? Who had to cook the food? Who had to clean up the mess after we cooked our food? Who's cleaning the bathroom? Who's, cleaning up piss stains and this and that? And I'm not going to go into detail because it's not about me complaining about the work I have to do, because I would have to do this work anyway, but there's more of it. And no one stops to think about who does all of the things behind the scenes to make our life easier. When we go in the kitchen and we want to make food, we walk into a clean kitchen every day. Someone had to clean that kitchen, The fact that we're making food, someone went out to buy that food in this horrid heat. Um, and it can be frustrating. And I find myself trying to go above and beyond to do certain things or to make sure that everyone has what they need. And it can be frustrating. I sometimes have the mindset of like, there's two people, sitting in the room playing video games all day and they have a car in the parking lot, yet I'm trying to figure out a way to get the things I need. Or like my husband did today at work, went and got things from the store because he knew I needed more paper towel. He knew I needed more cleanser and more sponges, more foil because those things had been used up. So even though he was supposed to check in at work, he went to go do those things. Yet we have someone here who's in a car who doesn't do anything. And I'm not complaining about them not doing anything, but I would just like to be appreciated for the things that we do to make sure that they have what they need. And I don't feel like we have that. I don't feel like I have that. I can't speak for my husband because I'm sure he doesn't feel the same way I do, but I don't feel like I have that. And that is very frustrating to me. Um, all it takes is communication. Like if I was made aware, hey, it's going to be about a month, I'm not going to lie. At first, I probably would have been like, okay, that's a long time, but I would have been better prepared for it. Um, and I just find myself being frustrated about that. My husband says, unless I give him a direct order not to say anything, that maybe he should go to him and say something. My problem with that is I don't want to come off like as a tattletale, like, oh, husband, go deal with this. But I also don't want to not say anything. And then it keeps happening. But then it's like, she's already going to be here for another week. It's already going to be a month. Maybe I should just wait until after the visit and have a talk with him. Like, look, for future reference. And I kind of have a fear because apparently in like 6 months or so, her family's moving out here. And is this just going to be a lot more often, like, and my husband says, oh, probably not, he'll probably go over there sometimes, or that, this and that. But to me, I just feel like it would just be a lot more often. And I don't have a problem with her at all, and I have no problem with her coming over, but I don't want to just, once a month there's just somebody here for a week. That doesn't sound fun to me. I'm sorry. Like, I am so happy that my son has found happiness and she seems like a nice person, but I want my home back. I want my privacy back. Like, it's not even that things have changed horribly or anything like that. Like, everything's fine. It's just, I don't know. It's just this feeling of someone's here. I can't even explain it. Maybe I'm just being cunty. I don't know. Maybe I'm stretching because I've been feeling weird and I'm using this. Maybe I'm weird altogether because someone's here. I don't know, but something constantly has me on edge. And it just so happened that this is what I dealt with this morning. My appetite has been weird. I haven't really been eating as much. Just not stressed, but the feeling of being stressed, like physically stressed. I feel like I'm just coming and complaining about something and trying to use that as an excuse. But I feel like if this is what it was, I would know that and I would handle it and I would feel better. But I don't think this is necessarily the source of it. This is just also something that I'm frustrated about. And I know that I've been looking for a reason, not looking for a reason to be upset, but looking for the cause of me being upset. But I'm not gonna let it ruin my day. I'm not gonna like have a bad day because of the way I feel. I'm trying to keep going and push through. But I'd be lying if I didn't say that I find myself frustrated. I don't know what's going on with me. But I felt the need to come on camera and vent. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna have my coffee. And my husband's calling me anyway, so I have to go.